Shalom, friends, and welcome to this week's latest installation of a Bisseleh Torah. Tazria-Metzora is the name of the parashah, the double parashah that we're reading this week. And to say that it's troubling perhaps might be an understatement. Troubling because we find it difficult to understand the application of the laws that are found in this portion this week. It starts out by talking about a woman who gives birth, and in the process of giving birth becomes tame'ah. She becomes impure. She becomes impure, and there are three stages to her impurity. One is at the moment when she gives birth and the child emerges into the world. The second one is a 7-day period that follows, where she still remains impure, having, however, already delivered the child. And the third stage is a month that takes place in the aftermath, including the birth and the 7 days of still ritual impurity, when the woman would not be able to go to the temple or the mikdash and be able to participate in the consuming of the sacrifices that were offered on the altar there. So what is the relevance of this parashah? What meaning, if any, does it have to our lives today? And I would offer the following insight: that we understand the Bible as a document that we read and we take it on a literal level. But we do not take it only on a literal level. We understand that the import of the Bible is far greater than the simple black and white letters on the page. That we understand that it has implications that far exceed the simple wording. In this instance, the Ari points in a direction which is worthy of note. He says that these three stages of impurity are very much parallel to the Jews readying themselves to leave Egypt. In the first instance, they sequestered themselves in their homes on the night before the departure from Egypt. Leil Shemurim, it is called in the Bible. It was a night of terror, a night when they were fearful not only of the angel of death passing through Egypt, no, fearful of what was going to happen tomorrow, because they'd been slaves, not just for their entire lives, but the lives of their parents and the grandparents and the great-grandparents for hundreds of years that had been enslaved. What was going to bring tomorrow with freedom? How terrifying would that be, of a brand new life that they knew nothing about? And then the second stage was as they walking through the desert on the way to the Yam Suf, the lip of the sea, knowing full well that the Egyptians were pounding after them, either to bring them back into Egypt as slaves permanently, or to slaughter them there in the desert. The waters parted. They walked through, much like a child walks through the waters that encase the child inside of the mother for so many months, and now finally emerging into the world. The third stage was when they had walked through the desert for a period of weeks and arrived at the mountain that we know as Sinai. Each one of these stages was terrifying, was frightening, because the portent of what waited beyond at that moment and what was beyond that moment, who could fathom? What do we know about the unknown, the untasted, the unseen? But each one of these was a powerful moment when the Jewish people needed to depend upon themselves, their own resourcefulness, to bend, to change, to be willing to accept what was coming, even though it was unknown. And so the metaphor becomes larger than life. Not only a woman in labor gives birth, not only a nation that's realizing its freedom and ultimately its indenturedness to God at Mount Sinai, but also to you and I. There are so many stages in life that we pass through. I mean, there are the stages that we immediately recognize are passing from childhood into adulthood, adulthood into midlife, midlife into old age. The truth is far greater than that, you know, because life is punctuated by a series of so many, almost an infinite number of changes that we need to confront in our life. Some of those changes make us feel less, not worthy, not capable of moving on, because we don't know where we're going. We know where we've been, but what lies ahead, the road ahead, we have not a clue. And so the Bible, the Torah, telling us this story, is telling us to tackle each stage unafraid, to move forward, even though we don't know where the road is going to ultimately lead, how we're going to be changed by circumstance and event and time. Still move ahead, unafraid, knowing full well that it may be good, and the road, in fact, may be torturous as well. But there's no way back. Of course, there is a way back. But you're better than that. You're more worthy than that. Move ahead, always forward. Kadima, 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 always forward. Holding the flag of hope. Shabbat Shalom.